Turn down the lights, lock the door. It's time for DJs After Dark.
Hey everybody, Danny J here for the DJB Productions Network. Hit that subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell, leave us some comments. As always, we want to hear from you. Today, it's DJs After Dark. We were off for a little bit. We're back on with a great crew today, and we have a great topic today as well. Before we get into the topic, let's go down the list and show who we got going on here. We got DJ Matt Sutter.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. We got the doctor in the house, Dr. Rock Ray Thomas.
Good morning, everybody. You can't have sex while social distancing. Great to be back on.
My God. We got special guest today, 102.9 WMGK rock jock, Chris Gordon.
Good morning, my friends.
Oh, thank you.
God, he sounds so much better than the rest of us hacks.
He does sound a lot better than the rest of us. I know. This son of a bitch. Anyway, we have a great show today.
My intro wasn't as good, though. You can't have sex while social distancing. That's very good.
That was very good. I know.
Well, I guess it all depends upon how big you are.
Yeah.
Chris has that Howard Stern voice where he can sit there on the speakers and the girl can sit on the speaker.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that day to happen.
Right?
That's going to be a glorious day.
Chris is like, I can only afford to get a tweeter. So
I told my wife I had a woofer. She said, big deal. So I knew I was.
she said no more dogs.
I don't even know if that could work today because, she would be like, hold on, I'm putting my phone there. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm putting my phone there.
It's like, what's a woofer?
You got my phone off.
I had to make a stand the other night. I had my mask on my groin, and it just doesn't work. Go ahead.
The sad thing is, I picture Ray there naked with a mask on his face and a mask on his groin.
No,
That's an image I'll never get out of my head. Thank you very much.
Some pictures came out because we just got through the Halloween season, as everybody knows. And luckily, everybody got through it safely, and that was great. But I had the privilege of doing some parties with Ray, not working together, but actually DJing some parties where Ray was there with Joanne and everybody, and a bunch of the friends that I met through him and all. And such great times, such great times we had at some of these parties, and some great costumes. Because Ray, you put up a couple different ones. One you were a doctor, one you were, I think, a pirate. I know one you were with me, you were a Zorro.
Yeah,
which was great because he has his glasses on. And then he has the Zorro mask on top of that. So it looks like a guy wearing glasses.
I look like I just got the fuck out of a clinic.
It's great. And once again, and I sing her praises all the time. My God, Joanne, how great she looks. Ray is such a lucky man because she's phenomenal. She's phenomenal. And she's a great woman. And I tell her, I said, Joanna, I said, I totally hit on you every time we do this show. And she starts laughing.
Except the girl that was dressed in the Wonder Woman costume, if you can remember, and her crotch was dragging across the rug.
Like a dog who was scratching his ass. You're absolutely right.
Then was one because Charlie Brown, It's a Great Pumpkin wasn't on because Apple TV took over the rights to it.
Oh, really?
I was pissed.
That's crazy.
You gotta have CB every Halloween. You got to.
Well, once again, Ray, I'll come over. We'll get yourself an Amazon stick, and I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it.
No problem, Dan.
I'll take care of you. Done. We gotta do that. And we gotta get you. We gotta get you a background
stick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You said stick, damn it, stick. We'll put a mask on. It'll be fantastic.
You got it.
We got a great show today, guys. Something I was really been thinking about, and we off the air as DJs talk about this all the time. Today's topic is slow songs versus low beat hip hop. Where did the love go? Okay. Now, some of that might be obvious. Some of it might be obvious what we're talking about, but I'll kind of explain. Back in the day, we were talking about, we're all past 40. And what happened was back in the day, we would meet girls in clubs and bars and what have you. And there's a lot of going on, whatever. And you're talking as much as you can. But when that slow song came on, that was your opportunity to really get in close and personal. Really, and there's a lot that can happen with body language. Like when you slow dance with a girl, if she's like doing the 7th grade, where she's facing you.
Yeah.
that shit probably is not going to go that well. You're getting in the friend zone very, very quick.
Friend zone.
If she's very,
Against the Levi's.
if she's up to you where she could turn her head, she's open to conversation. If she's up real close and she's talking in your ear, you're totally getting that.
You're
I
getting
mean, that's body language that can be totally 100% confirmed. I can tell you that right off the bat.
Unless she's whispering in your ear, "Do you have money?" Then it kind of loses a little bit.
Or she says, "Don't mind my bulge." I mean, one or the other. I mean, it's whatever.
75 for everything.
Right.
This is my first time out.
Not worth a minute over 45. Grow
She's
up.
like,
Okay?
this is my first time out since leaving the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, were you a cheerleader? No, it's a quarterback. Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff that we noticed. Like Matt and I used to frequent when country was really big. We used to frequent a country bar. It was like, it sounds so weird, but it was like it was our Shangri-La.
Yes,
I mean, that place was phenomenal, and we just couldn't get enough of it. And the amount of romantic intent that happened in that place was just like, it just left you like, oh, this is so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And
has your boots been under? That kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You got it.
So with that being said, it was one of those things where that was your go-to to find out, where is this going? Is this going past the low? Do I have to spend money on drinks? What am I doing here? You know what I mean? Yeah. But understand, here's the thing. We weren't expecting the payoff that night. It was nice to happen that night, but we weren't expecting a payoff that night. We were looking into this to say, I'm really interested in this girl. And I would like it tonight, but
you're playing the long game. You're playing the long game.
I would like this next week, 2 Saturdays from now when I have that baby shower. I'd like it then. You're thinking about, like ahead of time. You're thinking future. Not to say you're going to get married, but whatever.
On your hands, it was different. It cut out the middleman early, and it just saw what you were getting.
You kind of like were able to be your own wingman.
Exactly. Yeah. And her hands were already up in the air and stuff, so I could put the money right into her wrist. It was kind of cool.
Exactly. And never use coins. No.
I did that at a strip club and asked for change one day. It did not go over.
Not go over well at all.
I put a 5 down the front of her crotch, and I wanted 3 ones back. And oh my God, it got messy. Forget it.
Ray's like, that's a hell of a roast beef sandwich. Thank you so much.
I'm thinking Arby's.
I'm thinking Arby's. But then you go into the era of low beat hip hop. Now, low beat hip hop, what that is like that beats per minute below 70, basically. And that's I couldn't even tell you because it's so early in the morning that I can't tell you songs, but like some Usher stuff is like that. Kid Cudi, there's a lot of rap that's very low beat hip hop. And what you get is a lot more grind than anything else. R. Kelly.
Even though
we're going strong.
With R. Kelly.
Yeah, we'll go with R. Kelly. But the black community is like these white folks with their R. Kelly. Now we're talking this, we're talking that. There's a lot deeper shit than what
I know there's deeper. Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep it like though everybody knows what the hell we're talking about. And but what you notice, I DJ'd at a black bar for many, many years, and it's practically sex on the floor. It really, really is. But what I noticed,
get up off the floor. He didn't mean that for you. Get up off the floor. Get up.
Damn it, Joanne.
Swear to God.
She follows directions so well. No, but the thing I noticed is that it was more, I'm gonna get with somebody tonight. I don't care who it is. It can be you, your friend, your sister, or your mom. Somebody's getting with this. And then as soon as I'm done with this, I got to look for somebody else to get with. And I'm like, where's the intimacy? And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, I can never bring that up to these kids because they have no idea what the frick I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm like, where's the intimacy? Where's like the long game? Like I'll see some dudes that are like, all right, I get getting on top of it because this chick's got all her shit out for you to fucking get to. Mm-hmm. But like, is that going to be your girl? And it's such an old thinking. It's such an old thinking.
It's called, is this the girl I can take home to mom? Kind of a thing.
Right.
That's what you're slow down. You're looking for that girl that you can take home to mom, but dad still gives you the high five when nobody's looking.
Right.
Exactly.
Dad gives you the high five, and mom is like, "Oh my God, don't let him ever bring that girl home again."
Like, and we joke.
Don't bring that hooker in here ever again.
We joke.
My
Like,
mom
Especially if
said
your
about
dad
hookers.
recognized.
My mom hated when I came home with a hickey. It was like having a venereal disease.
yeah, right.
And I remember that was the big thing too in the 80s. People were like, not only putting hickeys on a girl's neck, it was like a permanent tattoo that never went away.
But you know what? And not to blow Ray's head up because I'll do this, but like we'll take Joanne in another example. Here we go, real quick, because like Joanne and yeah, I laugh, we make jokes and stuff like that. But Joanne's a very attractive woman. She's a very attractive woman, and then you see her with Ray, you're like, what the hell are you doing with Ray? You know, that's right.
Ray definitely married up.
Ray's got a large pocket or a large
I would have
rocket.
to get my pants let out. When I
Large
buy-
rocket or a wallet, one or the other.
Yeah.
And they made beautiful kids. Ray's kids are beautiful people.
I gotta say, plugs.
And they're nice kids. I don't want to say they're great kids. They're nice kids.
Yeah.
But they are nice looking kids. Like you see Ray's kid, you're like, man.
Well, Split Decision is playing tonight. They're doing it.
Are they
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug for Split Decision. But he's got a gorgeous daughter. He's got a son who's like, he's right off of fucking Zac Efron's pimple. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and God bless, and they're talented. And that's, I think it's, and Ray, you did very well. You did very well. And you and Joanne should be proud of your kids and stuff like that.
We're very proud.
But Joanne did not hit the wall. Joanne did not lose herself in family and say, oh, well, I got Ray. You know,
she only
Joanne,
hits the wall like when we roll and shit like that, you know? And
yeah.
I pretend that she can't pay her tax bill, and it gets kind of nasty. It's neat.
It does. It gets thrown out of the White House.
What do you mean you didn't pay the real estate tax? You know what I mean? So,
but in that sense, you're like, here's a guy who's got this real nice looking girl who's still nice looking after these two kids. They're in their twilight years.
Yeah.
Almost in your twilight. You're not really in your twilight years, but you're almost there. And
broken down old blood vessels that I can.
Not yet.
I'm not going to do it.
And Joanne's and Ray's holding himself up too, but Joanne's holding herself up, and Joanne's like, I mean, Joanne can get a guy 30 years younger, easily. Can get a guy 30 years younger than her, easily.
He's only making a story about it. He's not saying go get it. He's saying making a story.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you guys are at grandparent age. You realize that. But here's the deal: you're not just at grandparent age. You have been at grandparent age for a long time now.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So God bless you guys. I think that's great. But that all comes from putting in the time, knowing what both of you wanted, and not being a baby daddy.
No.
You know, not looking for this and that thing. And that's what I'm getting to, is that a lot of these kids nowadays, they don't, at least not off front, they don't respect the union of marriage. Not to say I'm married, but I mean, whatever. Don't get married. I don't give a shit.
Some people don't work hard at it. They
they don't.
Excuse.
And I see a lot of baby daddies, and I see a lot of that kind of stuff around, unfortunately. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it worked for some people, but it shouldn't be a mainstay lifestyle, because it's like you want to do all this stuff and still be single. And to me, all it does to me is say that you are irresponsible. Because for us to be able to be single, get with a lot of girls, or girls get with a lot of guys, or whatever, and not have kids and stuff like that, there was a bit of responsibility on your part to do it. Mm-hmm. Chris, who's a DJ, and I bet you your rock groupies outweigh your DJ groupies. Because you got guys like Ray as your DJ.
Historically,
you got Ray's like a DJ groupie versus it might show at a bar when you're playing guitar. But I mean, think about that for a second. You were in a unique position because you were someone up there that, and we as DJs have seen this before too, when you're performing, no matter what you're doing, you're performing, you're kind of forced into somebody's eye, in a sense.
Yes, so, slight line.
Yeah, so you might not get that true interpretation of that person when they come up to you, because they might be infatuated or whatever the case is. Tell us about that, because you got yourself a lovely wife, and you guys met in that industry, in the rock and roll industry, which is like amazing to say, yeah, hey, I met somebody, it worked out, we're married, we're doing the normal thing, and we met under really party chaotic circumstances.
you're
That's
talking.
yeah, from you.
Yeah, we did. Well,
Talking to me.
I didn't know.
talking to me.
Yeah.
Because I caught the very beginning of the question. You cut out, but I got you. Yeah. Well, Mary and I met in the industry. I stole her from my drummer.
Rock and roll, baby.
Yeah. But,
We really had heartbeats.
This is long before we were married, and before they were never married. It wasn't like that. And it was clear when I met her. I mean, because that our attraction and our wit and the way we just connected was literally instantaneous. It was anyone in the room that back to that day in 1991 remembers that moment that her and I met. It was just like that. And here it is. What is it? 28 years later. Or whatever, So
Chris, it's the same way too. You look at it, and like I said, we're married over 40, and you look at your wife and you go, where did those years go? And you're happy when all those years go by that fast, where you can't, you know that you have something. I think that it's really cool.
Yeah, we still act the way we did in 91.
You still laugh and have fun.
We carry on. We carry on like two 20-year-olds like we did.
And I think that's it. I mean, I know I'm getting older, and we're all getting older, but if you have somebody that you can see the end with, that rocks, man, because that's hard today. That's really hard.
Yeah,
and the problem is the kids that are doing the hip hop and stuff like that, they see the end too, but it's like 10 minutes from now. That's the problem. That's the problem I see. And I feel bad for these kids because I think they're robbing themselves. Not to say they all got to get married or something like that, but like we all can say that we learned from long-term relationships.
Absolutely have.
We learn. Yeah. And what do you learn? You learn what you can tolerate and what you can't. You learn what's bad about you.
Yeah. Well, what about myself is flawed? And what about myself is flawed that I can actually change? And what about me is flawed that is just, well, that's just kind of who I am. And knowing then I need to find somebody who can accept that flaw is not that big a deal.
Or you learn about yourself to say, if this flaw is something that really is not something that somebody should deal with.
Exactly. That's what I said, exactly. How can I going to change it?
How strong am I that I can change it? Or do I have to just say, oh, unfortunately, this comes with the package or whatever? You learn all this stuff. You
buy a box of Magnums and she calls you a liar right in the middle of the
And the funny thing is, when you listen, like if you're
party balloons, they're right next to that.
When I go out and listen to Ray DJ, and Ray is a throwback to like OGL when OGL was actually OGL and
WFIL days.
Yeah, WFIL days. He came from romance. When I tell you romance, Ray came from romance. You get your best girl and you go out to the drive-in. She wears your Letterman jacket and blah, blah, blah. I mean,
the dogs on Saturday. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. And then you get all enthralled in that, and he starts skipping songs, and you're like, all right, this fucking guy, what is he doing?
But the song was, we don't have to take off our clothes. We don't have to take off our clothes. We don't have to take off our clothes.
I know. He turned into a Mormon, for Christ's sake. Look what happened there. I had a groove on, and then this guy's telling me to stay clothed. No, but then you go to like guys like me and Matt who are roughly 15 years younger or so, and we're more like. And my intent when I DJ'd, because remember we always said DJs create the theme of the room that night. We create the theme of that night, and that's why people either come or they don't come. My theme was, and it sounds sick, but it's the truth. I want everybody to get laid tonight. So and I want everybody to feel, after leaving where I was at performing, say, man, I'm ready to go get some. You know what I mean? That guy sexified the whole night. And that's what my intent was to do. And it sounds like a funny thing. People are not in the industry will laugh at it and say, oh, this dirty old man. No, not dirty old man. Strategic. Because that's the kind of stuff that is the release that people want after a week of craft work. You know what I mean? And
otherwise you just stay home, sit in your house, and listen to your CDs, your albums, your cassettes, or your iPod, or your streaming service. Now, depending upon what age group you're in,
returns. It's like
the whole point of going out is that human interaction and finding something you don't have at home. And if you're single, what you don't have at home,
and Matt,
is loving.
You can confirm this in comparison to Ray's time of going out and stuff like that. when we slow dance and stuff like that, it was more not my best girl and wear my Letterman jacket. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, I don't want to say corny, but corny. It wasn't corny in a sense. It was horny, but it was like it was like soap opera.
Yes.
It was like soap opera for us, for our generation. And and Chris is not much older than us.
You would dance with like one girl back in your generation, and 5 minutes later you'd be dancing with another girl doing the same dance that you did with the girl that you danced with 5 minutes earlier. So there wasn't
and that's the thing. And that's the thing though.
That was your
what is the old way to find out if your spaghetti's done? You throw it against the wall and see if it sticks.
Mm-hmm. And that was the thing. And Dan and I can speak to this because we were both doing the same thing. Sometimes, especially we mentioned KP Corral.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're dancing with the girl who you're trying to get with, you're trying to have that relationship with. And sometimes you're dancing with a girl that you just have a good connection with on a friendly level. You both like the song. You both want to dance to it. And you both know neither of you are getting it on later.
Right.
But you're sitting there, you're just enjoying a nice song. You're enjoying that closeness, that intimacy of that friendship. And you're just kind of talking about general stuff. It's like, now here's what we can talk about this. Hey, this funny thing happened, this whatever. And you leave that dance floor and you're still feeling that same endorphin release as you would as if maybe you're getting laid. But it's like, this is just my friend. This is my friend, and this was great. And we enjoyed a great private moment for about 3-4 minutes that didn't involve everybody else. And whatever we talked about was just between us, and it was cool.
The difference is Matt was like saying to her, "So, did you see that article in Cheers and TV Guy, blah blah blah?" And I was thinking and I was talking to my girl saying, "How fast can we get this bra off? Tell me about this." But the thing was,
on the front, and Danny would like chew through it like a rat. All right.
But I can honestly say, and this is not knocking Matt, but Matt was in the friend zone before girls would put him in the friend zone, and that was his move. But it's like, I am safe. I am safe. That's what Matt was doing.
Again, it's like it was kind of like that thing of like, hey, this is who I am, and hey, if I'm friend zoned, if you like what you see, here it is, and if you don't, well then fine, screw it. I was still grabbing your ass I was still having my hands all over your ass for 5.5 minutes.
Matt's like, I'll hang at the friend zone door. Matt was the friend zone doorman. So he was like, I have a way to get out as quickly as I can. Me, I was like Count fucking Dracula, and I was like, I'll tell you, man. We did crazy stuff when we were kids. We really did.
And this is the thing, and we'll kind of get this because it kind of relates to what you're saying. There was one particular girl, Dan will remember her, from KP Corral, where we had this connection, but she was already involved with somebody else. She went to college out of state. She had the boyfriend there. We had this connection. It was kind of like a thing of like, that Reba McEntire song, One Promise Too Late or some shit. But there was that connection, and we used to dance all the time because the thing was, ultimately, there was something there. If there wasn't the other boyfriend, there would have been something there. But it was also, too, I was safe. She knew I wasn't going to try doing anything. And we would dance all the time. And there were people who kind of came into our circle of friends late that after she went back to school and then graduated and got recruited into this company even farther away, they're like, what happened to that what happened to your girlfriend?
Yeah.
What happened to that hot blonde you were going out with? I haven't even seen her around lately.
That's
I wasn't going out with her. But everybody thought it was.
I was just stalking her. There's a complete difference. But I had the same thing, and it all goes back to what the slow song did. And in the excuse me, in the 90s, especially country slow songs, those people wanted to fall in love. That was the theme of country music in the 90s. Is like everything's about love. Everything.
I did a lot of that in the.
Right,
in the 90s, I was touring with the Nashville Acts, so I saw that stuff firsthand.
Right, I mean, it's all about love and my heart. And my heart is cold, my heart is warm, blah blah blah.
You the stars, and you would watch her lip gloss melt off.
And I remember,
with full on agenda. They're like,
And I remember one particular instance, a girl who I was friends with, like Matt, like I was like best friends with this girl, And it was one of those things where it just never worked out because I would be dating someone when she wasn't, and vice versa, that type of thing.
Fraternity suit.
It never, but she was with the guy who eventually she had children with. And we were at KP and we were dancing, right? And he never came to KP Corral or anything like that because he was in the military or whatever. And we were dancing, and like while we were dancing, she leaned in to kiss me and went like this. She went, "What am I doing? What am I doing?" And then turned her head. So it like you get caught up in the moment.
I thought she said something about $10. It's cheaper tonight. So
like, I only feel coins. You know what I mean?
That's not a roll of quarters, baby.
Right.
You're trying to punch somebody. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, well, especially in country bars. I mean, the whole climate there, with the music, with the you were talking about. It's it's like mating season. It's like they are in rut.
Yeah.
And I like just watching from the stage and just seeing the courtship happen on both ways, in both directions. It was
I think
you know what, you say an important word too, courtship.
And that's what we need today.
Well, I think it's a generational thing, because I mean, we're in a generation of swipe right, swipe left. I mean, there's actual apps just to hook up.
Yeah.
And when I was going back to the 90s, when I was on the road, I never participated, though it was probably because maybe it was too easy. It was literally you walk off stage heading back to the hotel, and it was like you just look behind you, there was a line.
Yeah.
And I just
expected it. They expected it. It was weird.
I felt really odd about it. I think Zappa said it. He said it really well once in an interview and I always felt this. I always felt that kind of interaction. We're talking that kind of interaction where it's just like, well, I'm coming back to your hotel room and we're gonna do this. I always found it oddly tacky as a traveling musician, because my attitude was, it's not supposed to be this easy. Like if there isn't that, it's just like, oh well, you're the guitar player in the band, and you're the guy who's in town tonight. So I don't want to know what came before me. I don't want to know what's going to come after. You know what I mean? Like that's me being old fashioned.
A little dynamo.
There shouldn't be so many notches. There shouldn't be so many notches in the bedpost that the bedpost is now a toothpick.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
wasn't there a Garth Brooks song that talked about a guy who was I think it was Garth Brooks, who he was a musician and he was real hot, and then he was nothing. Like his flame died, and he went back to the same old town. And that girl who was like the one night stand was still there, and he looked her up or whatever. You know what song I'm talking about, Matt?
Oh, I'm not.
You kind of is it familiar to you? I don't remember the title, but like it was the song.
And it might. I don't think it is. I'm not thinking it's Garth Brooks unless it's like more like a deeper track.
It was radio. It was on radio. So, and it might not have been.
So I don't think it was Garth, but
might have been George Strait.
I think it's George Strait.
Probably. I think that falls more in line.
But it was. But I really thought it was Garth Brooks. But he's a rock star who was like doing really, really well, and then his time goes and passes, right? And he instead of staying with this girl that he found, he moved on and did his rock and roll life or whatever, and then his flame dies, right? And now he's coming back, and he's got like 1/3 of the audience that he did. This is all being sung in the song. And that same girl comes out to see him. And then he said, and it's like a familiar face. And now he takes the time to really smell the roses in a sense. I'm almost sure it was Garth Brooks, but I can't think of the song. But it's exactly what you're saying, Chris, where it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to take my time, but like, right now, this is not the time for me to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and it was funny. I became like, guys in the band thought there was something wrong with me. They're like,
right?
Dude, why wouldn't you? But I there was just this. And who knows? Maybe it was just the way I was raised. But I just had this like, it's just not. It's kind of weird. I'm not really into that.
Respectful, though. I mean, it's being
respectful. Not to say that there weren't times where even I was sitting there going, "Oh man, this is insane," And then, but that's also that you're kind of tricking yourself too, because you're thinking there's a connection, but reality, kind of know there's not. So, you know what I mean? Like, you know that she's not connected to you. You're just in town for the night. And, but yeah, if you were talking about that kind of generation thing where, you know, there was so much of it was that what you said, we were talking about that courtship. That was a lot of it, because there was that kind of, you're building that connection and something would happen and stuff like that.
And I don't think there's a courtship anymore. I don't think there's a courtship anymore. I think the kids who are listening to this like low beat hip hop stuff, you know, stuff like that. I'm not dogging low beat hip hop or anything like that. I mean, it's its own thing or whatever. It's not for me, but I mean, I've DJ'd it, so I understand what they're getting out of it or whatever. But those kids are not courting. They're not. I mean, it's like they really can care less if you show up or not. But if you do, you're something to do. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, that's
and I think what really comes down to it is like, you know, what has changed so much, the fact that nobody's even really recording that kind of music anymore.
No,
nobody. It's pretty much, you know, the artists from our generation and older that are still active and still recording music are the only ones that are still doing that.
Mm-hmm.
What about these young kids today too? They don't even listen to their own stuff. They'll listen to their parents' stuff, and all of a sudden, they're rocking the classic rock now, and they're getting more out of classic rock than they're getting out of their own thing, because it meant something different. Classic rock, it hit your heart. It, like, you remember what you were doing when you heard
difference. You know what the difference
it was
is?
also recorded by humans. You know, I mean, music
all four of us grew up with top 40, true top 40.
True top 40.
I mean, country wasn't something new to the 90s. I grew up country all my life.
Right.
Because it was
Alabama, Oak Ridge Boys, you know, Kenny Williams, Kenny Rogers, Eddie Rabbit.
Kenny Rogers, Eddie Rabbit, and Dolly Parton were mainstay on top 40 radio.
Oh, yeah, they were.
They were above anybody else. And they were on the same channel as Sheena Easton.
Islands in the Stream, baby.
Sheena Easton, Prince, and Cyndi Lauper were on the same channel as Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton. I grew up watching the Mandrell show, the Barbara Mandrell show.
Mandrell.
And her cousin posed for a magazine. I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday.
You know what I mean? But it was there, right? And then when 92.5 first came into the market, and the whole commercial was me, the South Philly rock and roller. I like country music. I mean, I used to make fun of it because it was like I didn't think to zero in on country music. It was just music to me. Kenny Rogers was a singer just like anybody else. And as a kid, I didn't know the difference between country and Michael Jackson or whatever. I just thought music was music, and that was it. It was one thing, right? And then I started listening to country specifically, and I was like, wow, like this really deep track. When you got songs like what I got to honestly say, in my opinion, greatest love song ever written.
Amazing.
Country artist. No, you're a great song, but any more from Travis Tritt.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely the greatest love song. Even my wife, who cannot stand country, is like that. I got to admit, that's one of the greatest songs ever written.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends on radio is a girl by the name of Jennifer Reed, and she's really cool. I know Jen because she came from Texas and she's in Philly. And when she went on, I think it was XTU, she went on to that country station, and she gave a love in Philadelphia of country music that there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
People that never liked country music now began to really love country music. And
well, you know what? And the difference was, and it happened already again, and we just don't hear it as much, is that when 92.5 came out, that was at the change in country. Like country had to become something different because people weren't listening to the Oak Ridge Boys anymore.
It became a crossover. It had to cross.
And I think a lot of the timing with that too had a lot to do with the as the 80s wore out and as grunge came into the rock scene.
Right.
A lot of the production qualities that the 80s rock had went to Nashville.
Yeah.
And they started, and Mutt Lange had a lot to do with that because he was producing AC/DC, Def Leppard, the list goes on, and then he, hooks up with Shania Twain.
Yeah.
And when he first arrived in Nashville to do this record, Nashville shut him out. They were like, and because that's at that time, the clique in Nashville was ridiculous. I mean, to even get in, like on any kind of level. And so he pops out this record and no one even knew who he was. They were like, who's this guy? And then they looked at his list of production credits, and they were like, oh, this guy's the real deal. So, and of course that shot Shania Twain, and then the whole production. So if you listen to a lot of the production, especially you talk about a lot of the 70s and some of the early 80s country, the production sound changed and became much more produced, a little glossier. And some of the, you know, all the writers in Nashville are pitching these songs, and then those producers came in. They took especially Travis Tritt. You had Travis Tritt, you had Marty Stewart, and they were kind of like the next generation of Willie Nelson and Christopher Christopherson and that kind of thing.
It was like the new outlaw country.
Yeah, the new outlaw country, and then they came out and they had these love songs, and it was the same thing that rock formula had in the 80s, where you had the smash, and then you had the B-side ballad, the love song. Or, you know, and in some cases some of them were love songs, but they were tear jerkers too. Like they never lost the ability to, you know, like,
but they weren't over the top though. You know what I mean? Like they did that change. It was a different style to that slow song.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I think
still does it for me. Texas Angel by Honey Brown, rock. Oh my God. When you hear it, it raises the hair on your arms. It's so.
Well, I think what also what influenced that as well is a lot of those newer country artists were kind of close to our age and older, and when they were growing up, they were also listening essentially the same kind of things we were. You know, you look at it like, you know, Garth Brooks. You know, you look at, you know, he appears on the Kiss tribute album doing Hard Luck Woman. He was a big Kiss fan. He was, you know, some of these, you know, up and coming artists at that time were in their, you know, late 20s to early 40s, and they were kind of listening to the same thing we were. So they were also heavily influenced not only by old school country, but by classic rock and some heavier rock. And an example, came in and molded that. So again, it gave it more crossover ability.
I heard an interview with Tracy Byrd. I heard an interview with Tracy Byrd, who, when you listen to Tracy Byrd, you're like, man, this guy's really country. But his influences, and I heard him in an interview, were Boston and Journey.
Yeah,
he was a Boston and Journey guy. He's like, I love Journey. I love Steve Perry, and I love Boston. I love that sound of Boston, and that's where they got their stuff from. Lady Gaga was a Journey fan. You know what I mean?
She's also a huge. I mean, she got her name basically from Queen.
Yeah, she did.
It's all from Queen.
Radio Gaga, absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So definitely that is. Now, if you listen to country now, you're talking now, what would you say, Matt? Probably 2 generations later?
Yeah.
Now, the country now, with the exception of guys like Luke Bryan.
Luke rocks.
Yeah, he's great. But a lot of the younger artists, when you listen to the country song, you're like, all right, I hear this country. But like a good example of this would be that Florida Georgia line. They are the.
Sorry, not a fan.
Yeah, they are the. Would you say? Yeah, would you say they are unfortunately the Nickelback of country? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Nickelback.
I like Nickelback. I personally like Nickelback, but
I am not critiquing Nickelback's artistry at all. I'm talking about the way they're, for some reason, I still don't understand.
It's the perception.
And I don't even know when it started.
Yeah.
Something just happened, and one day everyone woke up, and it was globally recognized that you were not to like Nickelback. Just like that. I always felt I woke up and I was like, I don't know why, but I don't like Nickelback. I heard him on the radio.
I like Nickelback. I don't give a shit.
I'll say this. I've said this before. I've said this before about Nickelback. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You have to take Nickelback for what they are. First off, up until All the Wrong Reasons or All the Right Reasons and Dark Horse.
Yep.
They did not have a good cohesive album. They had a couple singles, but they didn't. There was no. It wasn't consistent. You couldn't listen to an entire album and go, I like this. But ultimately, you take them for what they are. They're not a band that's ever going to end up in the hard rock in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they're not influencing anything. They're not changing anything. They write catchy songs that are great for radio. That if you like harder rock,
at the end of the day, dude,
you sit there and go like, "This has got a cool kind of groove. I'm into this. I'm grooving." And all right, when it's over, if they went away, I would never miss them. But at the same time, too, I'm not going like, oh, I got to hear him. Let
me tell you something.
When it comes on, I enjoy it. I like the songs I like. And if I never hear him again, though, I'm not going to cry about
it. If you listen to Florida Georgia Line, right?
Right.
They do. There's one song, I forget what the song. If tomorrow never comes, I think, or something like that. It was something like that, and it's like hard rock country.
Hard rocks, come on.
It's like hard rock.
The same damn title.
It's hard rock country. Like they break into the and you feel like oh, I'm at like some kind of heavy metal concert, but it's got that country sound to it, right?
Yeah, because
Keith Urban, I say all the time. Keith Urban is trapped in a rock star's body because
Keith Urban is a pretty woman.
So is Brad Paisley.
Well, I mean, you're talking about both Keith and Brad Paisley. They're actual bona fide guitar heroes. I mean, Brad Paisley, especially.
Brad Paisley, and I'm not a guitarist, and I don't pretend to be.
My God,
Chris, you are. I mean, you're a phenomenal.
No, I've seen. I opened
Brad
for Brad a
Paisley.
few times. I've seen him.
Brad is amazing.
That rocks, man.
Ridiculous.
Brad Paisley can tear it up.
And I mean, across all styles. Like, I mean, obviously, I mean, his swing jazz chops are like second to none. Like that dude.
He's not known for being a guitar player.
But you know what?
He's amazing.
In Nashville, he was like people kind of knew. But I mean, because he came out of Oklahoma, so he kind of course, he had to go to Nashville. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was able to play because back in, especially then when he first hit. You know, when he was first coming out of Nashville, if you were in Nashville, you got up on stage with an instrument, you had to be able to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you would have been completely burned. The community was literally like the heart of the community was 3 blocks long. And it still is. So if you go up there and well, nowadays it doesn't matter because I was down there just I think I was just down there a year and a half ago. And it's not Nashville anymore. Not even close.
Right.
Not even close. But yeah, Brad Paisley, you know, great player, great singer, and great writer. He's a triple threat. Yeah. Love that song, Alcohol.
Just
so good.
And he's great at writing just good time, fun music. I mean, one of my favorite songs from him is Me Neither.
Me neither.
Yes.
I was just going to say that.
I love that song.
Well, me neither.
That's a great song. And
Eric Church.
That's all his guitar playing. That's all him playing guitar on.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous guitar.
The second half of that song is just basically him just jamming.
Just jamming.
He has
playing the song, Me Neither, and he's just started jamming.
You know what's funny?
away.
That's exactly what we were talking about. One of the lines, he goes up to a girl to ask her to dance, you know, and she's basically kind of blowing him off. He's like, "Well, me neither," you know.
You know,
You think you can dance? Me neither. I don't like this. You want me to buy you something to eat? No. You know, it's like,
me neither. You know,
Keith Urban, yeah.
But Brad Paisley has 2 songs that really that were relatively newer that I was like on Spotify I heard and I was like, oh my God, Solar Powered Girl, which is basically it's a song influenced by Supergirl, right?
Supergirl.
He's basically talking about how Supergirl needs sunshine to brighten up her day and blah, blah, blah. And she comes from a broken home. And why do superheroes come from broken? So it's about a song. It's about a girl who leaves a really crappy life and makes something of herself and becomes a Supergirl, you know, because from coming from nothing. But it's a great song. It's not a slow song. This is like a fast song or whatever, but great song. And then he has another one where it talks about, I'm blanking on the title of it right now, but it's where she's just going to go suntanning. It's just a girl who's going to go out and sunbathe. And it's like, the greatest song, and his guitar playing is phenomenal on the song. It's a fast song. It's about a girl who pulls out her copper tone and goes out and she's going to suntan and blah blah blah. And it's when you first hear the words, you're laughing. When you first hear the words, you laugh, but then you start like jamming to it. You're like, oh, this is a great song, you know.
No, he does that on that one song where he starts off the song, and his girl's mad at him because he's going to go fishing, and then he sets up the punchline right before the chorus, and well, I'm gonna miss her.
I'll get home.
I'm going fishing, you know.
Yeah,
and that's the interesting thing about the country music is that there's still something about that writing that still connects to the days of yesterday where you did the woman in your life wasn't a fleeting thought. she was a member of your life in some way, and that's where all those heartache and songs like that come from.
Unless you're Leanne Womack and she plays the song "I'm Gonna Hate Myself in the Morning," and my God, it's still one of the hottest freaking songs. I love Leanne Womack.
Well,
so, get me a rag. Get me a rag.
The song that actually inspired this particular episode for me was from Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan was big. And you're like, all right, like a lot of guys get really big and they get so big where you don't want to be bothered with them. Like Garth Brooks became so huge. You're like, all right, I'm done with Garth Brooks. I don't want to listen to Garth Brooks anymore because he's too big. Same thing happened with Toby Keith and stuff like that. But Luke Bryan, I said, let me put on a Luke Bryan thing on Spotify, right? And I'm listening to some songs and he sings a song called Play It Again. And when you listen to this song, it brought me back to a time. It's kind of a semi-slow song. It's like kind of like a swaying song type of thing. It talks about he's at a party and he's talking up to some girl. And then the song comes on and she just interrupts me while she's talking. She goes, "Come here, oh, this is my song. Come dance with me. This is my song." And he goes in this whole thing, and he sings like you could hear her saying this because of her excitement over that this song that she loves came on, and like it totally blows out anything you were just talking about because now she's concentrated on this song type of thing. And it's just like it's so romantic in a sense that I was like, where did that go? I'm listening to this song and I remember 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that timing and that kind of time and that feeling that he's generating from this song and this experience that he's singing about. And I'm like, where did this go? Because you listen to
McGraw,
Cudi, you listen to Kid Cudi, you listen to, and I'll bring somebody that's more mainstream, which would be like Usher, for example. And you're like, all right, I mean, Usher, I can see like you can get some romantic songs, but they're down and dirty songs, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I'm not getting that feeling like he's getting from this thing where you're like, it's that feeling when you look at her and you're now you
stops.
And Ray, to coin a phrase from your generation, I only have eyes for her. You know what I mean? Because she has enthralled me so much with her energy that I'm just like all about you right now, you know, and not in a sexual way. Like I'm like you find yourself quasi falling in love to this song.
To a song.
You're somebody. Yeah.
Well, that's what doo-wop music was about. And 60s music it was about falling in love. And even if you listen to a 60s song, I know we were higher than a proverbial kite. The thing was, listen to the words sometimes of some of the love songs from that particular era, and you'll be blown away by what they're saying and the words that they use. It's like they took out a thesaurus before they even wrote the goddamn song.
Right.
And they weren't creating new words because they needed something that rhymed.
Exactly.
New words or new phrases just because I need a word to rhyme here and the standard phrase doesn't fit, so I got to make up a word.
But Alice Cooper even said, "I can't even think of a word that rhymes. School's out." Remember
exactly.
Right. But guys, I do invite you to go on YouTube after the show's done today. Go on YouTube real quick, look up "Play It Again" from Luke Bryan, and listen to it, and tell me offline or whatever if you don't get what I'm talking about with the song. That I was like, this totally brought me back to not a significant time, a specific time, but a generational time of like I miss that feeling, that overall excitement, that love, that connection. There were so many different emotions that came into that song.
Well, the one song that does it for me still, and I mean, and it came out back, when we were in our 20s, the peak of that country phase there was Little Texas, and it was What Might Have Been.
What Might Have Been is a phenomenal song. The big hit was My Love. That was a big gigantic hit. It was even a crossover hit to a point. But What Might Have Been is something
because
really
it's because it's that true thing of like, it's a point, especially if you watch the video, it's a guy, finds a picture of that girl that just, whatever, life got in the way. It didn't work out, but she had such an impact on you that it's like a part of her never left you.
Right.
And it's, again, I have my own things that I relate to in that song, but it's but it's that same thing of like, you had that connection because you had that dance, you had that whatever, and it wasn't all about just what's happening tonight. It was a long-term thing, and then somehow it got interrupted, and your lives took two different directions, and it's like, hey, I had a great life, so that's why I have to try not to think about what might have been, because it'll break my heart, and I have no need to have a broken heart because my life turned out great, and I love it. And if I think about that, I'm always gonna be wondering, and it's just hey, it just wasn't meant to be, and I have to move on.
Right. A go-to song for you, not a go-to song as a DJ, but if you had to name one slow song that you're like, I will always have a connection to this. It could even be pre-Joanne or whatever. There's one slow song you can honestly say that's the one that really gets me. What would that be?
I touch myself. No. No, really, for me, it's an old song. You guys might not even. I do have a really strong connection to that because I was on medication back in the day. On that. It was called "In the Still of the Night," and I still think by Satins, it's still can make a girl put her head down on some guy's like head.
Chest, like on his chest. Yeah. I hear you. Chris, what about you?
It's going to be hard for a slow song, but the one that gets me is a song called "Just Like You" by Robbie Neville. Which was that he was kind of a dance rock crossover artist. He had a song called "C'est La Vie."
Yeah, that was a great song.
But Just Like You, there was something about that song that even to this day, it just perfect. I mean, it's not a slow song. So if I don't know, slow song, I guess it would have to be. It might be George Michael's father figure.
That was a great. That was a great song.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the I mean, obviously,
did that hit you?
Say like Oprah, my journey, which was growing up. But
did that hit you musically, or did that hit you on a personal level?
Well, personal, because that was when Mary and I first met. That was the music that was coming out, and that was kind of like and no matter what happened, because like I said, I went out on tour and she went about her life. I mean, we did a huge arc before we came back to each other. Like there was
I remember you telling me.
We weren't a married couple. We went our separate ways, which was difficult and a story for another day. But
we did it for a year too. That'll be the next topic.
And and those songs always kept I don't know, throughout the years there was a connection.
Slow songs, and I don't think, and I guess it could happen in hip hop as well, but like slow songs can bring this positive that we're talking about, but it also can be negative as well. There's some songs that you just cannot listen to because it was too hurtful of a time or too hurtful of an event or something like that. Matt, I'll start with you and then I'll go up to me. What would be a song that you could pick up and say, I just cannot listen to it because it brings back too bad of a memory or what have you?
I'd have to say, and again, it's because of recent events, and it's not really a slow song, but Black Hawk, Strong Enough.
Yeah. The old
Darling, please, go. I'm not strong enough to say no,
It's funny you say that because that holds a special place in my head. That song. It's funny you say that.
And it's due to some recent events, and people that I connected with that song and what's happened to them in recent years. Sometimes it's like I need to hear it, and other times it's like if it's on shuffle on my iPod or something that comes on, it's like not today, not today.
This is why Matt has been with me 1 month longer than my wife. Because me and Matt share a brain. It's so funny you say that because that is true. And that's not the song I'm picking, but I mirror what you're saying based on what that song represented.
You guys have happening now going, which is like
we do. We have a big good bromance. Me and Matt have a very good bromance. I have to send him a flower. Go ahead, Ray. What do you
Well, this is the one song, and this is going to be totally off subject, but the thing is, I remember every time I would play this song when I DJ'd, and I would always think of Lauren, who was little at the time, and it was Butterfly Kisses, if you remember. I remember literally being in tears every time I played that song. Every single.
For a negative way, Ray, or because it's a pretty song?
It talks about him growing up and eventually how she's going to be an older woman now, and you're back in the day when she had fallen down and she's bleeding and daddy her up and all. And people would come up to me and go, "Why are you crying?" And like I said, I know it's totally a little bit off subject, but the thing is, if a song can tear you up like that or make you, and I look at Lauren now, who's a nurse, and we have the tightest relationship with my kids. Right? I look back at that and I remember tears coming down my eyes every single time I played it.
But now I get that with I Loved Her First.
Okay.
I cannot physically play, and I play it all the time for like weddings and stuff like that. I cannot play it without crying. I turn around and like face the wall a lot of times when I'm playing that song, because I start to tear up like really, really bad. But that's a positive thing though, Ray. Is there any song that is out there that brings back a bad memory? You can't listen to it because it's like, I don't want to think about that time anymore. Because what you just said was a very beautiful thing. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, but is there something bad? Be like, oh, that time maybe when I'll bring a recent. Maybe me and Joanne just really were hitting the rocks at this point. That's
I guess
something like that or whatever.
If You Leave Me Now by Chicago. Because I remember back in the day, and then when we got back together again, when we were, we separated for a while, we weren't even married, and she would always say, I'd always think of that song with you, and it's weird, I would always think of that song with her. So
and is it, can you have trouble listening to it?
I do, and a lot of it has to do with medication again and stuff.
And he mixes it right into the divinals right after.
I would be in the bathroom popping St. Joseph Aspirin for children, and I'm going, somebody talk me the fuck down. All right, so yeah.
Ray comes in the bedroom. We're having a baby. She's like, honey, we're grandparents. We're not having anything.
I pissed on his dick. Congratulations, Daddy. So
Chris, how about you? A song that you just cannot listen to because it brought back a bad memory or bad time to you.
I would have to say there's oh man, I'd have to say that there's a song by Queen called Days of Our Lives. And the reason that, I still like to listen to it, but one of the reasons that when it does come on, I get it's really difficult is when Dad was passing away. Right.
And
we played it at his service. It was a song that he connected with too. But like, I still love the song dearly. But like, it actually came on the other day, and I was outside, just taking in some sun, and I got choked up.
It's
I
fun,
had to turn it off.
And I get that, and that's serious. Now mine's not as serious as that, but I remember, and you're talking 30 years ago. This is not something that should have any significance to me anymore. But it does, Because I Love You from Stevie B.
Okay.
Can't listen to it.
Yeah.
I went through a breakup. I went through seeing that person with somebody else, because we went to dances back then. So you're visibly now seeing the new courtship right in front of you. You have a front row seat.
Yeah. It wasn't, you weren't adults and moving on, and you're just kind of doing your thing, and you don't go. It's like, no, it's like, this is my place. This is the place I go all the time. And now it's all in your face. Now it's all in your face, and you can't escape it.
And as the spring love.
Yeah. And as a kid, you don't know the whereabouts to say, you know what, I'm going to take myself out of this, or I'm going to walk away, or I'm just not going to, you don't make it, you fixate on stuff as a kid because you don't know any better. And to sit there and and be like, I used to dance with that girl to that song. Oh, I used to kiss that girl to that song. Now that dude's kissing her, and like this is making me mad. And what is she thinking? But you even stop being mad at that dude, and you're mad at her. You know what I mean? Because she moved on. Basically, is what happened. She moved on. You didn't. And that song, even to this day, and I have nothing to do with that girl. I'm friends with her on Facebook, whatever. But she's kind of an asshole. But she really is kind of an asshole. But like, my wife can't stand her. But like, I can't listen to that song. It brings me back to that time, and I think whereas the emotional as to what happened is gone, I guess what it signified is still there. You know what I mean? So now I can place that feeling on anybody, not just that one person anymore. And that stayed with me like a hunch. And I don't like it. And I'm the kind of person, unfortunately, that lives in the past. And I don't like that because I know you cannot move on when you live in the past all the time. But I think do.
You can live in the past as long as you're able to look at the future and say, okay, the past was this, the future's now here. And there's where I think you're going to be just fine.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rock. I appreciate
Exactly. Sometimes you got to put your foot down. You got to look your mate right in the face and say, "Look, you need to quarantine yourself for 10 days." Oh wait,
that's what it is.
you got to do what you got to do.
Little Rona didn't hurt anybody except for the ones that, except for the ones that it did. But,
remember, I'm wearing a mask for this show. See?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, this show is a lot dirtier than anything you can worry about. But guys, this was kind of great. We got a little off topic, but we I think we still are wondering where the love went. Mm-hmm. And as we're reminiscing on this other stuff, if you are someone that didn't listen to any of these songs we talked about or any of these genres, give it a shot just for the hell of it. It's not going to hurt anybody. Do it by yourself in the comforts of your own home, and so nobody can see or whatever, and kind of figure out what we're doing, because I think it'll give you an overall different outlook on life if you can kind of touch into
the younger generation. There's plenty of stuff out there. I'm sure if you go onto YouTube and do a search, the greatest love songs ever written, there's probably somebody out there that's kind of compiled a list of what they think, and will probably give you cross genres and maybe give you some places to start and kind of really think about what was different about this music versus what's going on now.
But and real quick before we go, I want everybody to give it a recommendation. I'm going to personally recommend that anybody, I don't care what music you listen to, look up Luke Bryan's Play It Again and just really listen to it and tell me if that doesn't drive up something in you in some way, shape, or form. Matt, what's a recommendation for you?
Oh, you should have warned me so I could really think about this, because there's a bunch of stuff that we've kind of because there's stuff that we've already talked about. So let me try and think of something different. Come back to me. Let me give that some thought.
All right, Ray, we're going to go to you real quick.
All right, I'm going to say again, Luke Bryan. I'm going to say Strip It Down, because it's going to make you feel something. All right,
Luke Bryan, Strip It Down.
Strip It Down. Go grab somebody together today, make a deep hug, and make a difference.
It's a song that it's sponsored by Home Depot for when you strip down varnish off your wood.
Yeah, when you take it off.
Chris, what's a recommendation for someone to listen to?
You know what? I think I'm gonna stay with the country theme here as well. I think I'm gonna go with. There's a song, Tim McGraw, called "Don't Take the Girl."
Yes. What a heavy song that was.
Yeah, very heavy. And another. Yes, and then there was a Travis Tritt song, and it's completely, the title's going out of my head, but it was a ballad. It was a Travis Tritt ballad. Oh no, you know what? Here's one, because I can't remember the name of that one. It was Brad Paisley. He did a duet, and it was I think it's called "Whiskey Lullaby."
Oh, that's with what's her face? Alison Krauss.
That's it.
Alison Krauss. That's right. Yeah.
Watch that video too. That video stars Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah,
Ricky
and it's like the one time where Brad is like real serious.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't used to. I was always used to the tongue in cheek, and then this song comes on. It's kind of like a comedic actor that you realize can really fucking act. You're like, oh my God, I'm completely convinced. Like it was really good. So I would say that.
And the Travis Tritt song, are you talking about "Tell Me I Was Dreaming"?
No.
Oh,
I'll know it as soon as I hear it.
I know.
It's going to bother me now. I'm a
Travis Tritt fan. You'll text me later. But this is what it was.
This is what it was. Yeah.
I still tear up on the Flintstones theme song, so I know that.
Especially when he puts a boulder outside and drops on his foot.
You crazy thing! Oh
no,
okay. I thought of one. And it's a little bit of underground. I mean, the guy he was a songwriter, wrote a lot of great songs for other people. Unfortunately, when he went solo, kind of started doing his own stuff. Didn't hit real good. At one point, he was married to Lori Morgan. They did a great ballad, and I can't remember the name of that one. But John Randall. And the song is called "If Blue Tears Were Silver."
Oh. And I never heard that. I know the person is. I know who he is, John Randall. But yeah,
that was one of. It was called.
There's a couple people married to Lori Morgan. Yeah. Doesn't John Whitney marry to Lori Morgan? Oh no, he was married to Alison Krauss, I think.
Yeah. But I think they may have.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be married to Lori Morgan. She was hot.
Everybody wanted to be married to Lori Morgan.
Lori Morgan was hot. And just to go back about a half hour, when you were talking about Mutt Lange,
she was a great artist. She was a great artist.
Yeah, she really was. But she was
great songs, and she was hot.
She was really, really she was more hot than she was talented, and that was the problem with her. But going back to when you were talking about Mutt Lange, Shania Twain was the Mariah Carey of country.
Yeah.
Honestly, because she was a talented girl who was unbelievably gorgeous and married a king in the industry. And that's how she got big. If she did not have that king, I don't think she would have gotten as far as she did.
Hello.
Well, especially because she came from Canada.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was a Canadian, and it was like, okay, now we're going to make a Canadian into a country, and it kind of did pave the way for guys like Keith Urban coming out of Australia.
Well, you know what? And out of Canada too was Colin Ray, was a Canadian.
Yeah.
You know, so,
yeah,
and he's another great
back
one.
in the 90s and even before that, if you weren't from that belt of the country,
you couldn't relate. You weren't able to relate, so therefore, why are you singing about it? Type of thing.
Right? You couldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was just it was like the personification too of Nashville, which it was.
Right.
It was a clique, and you're either in the club or you ain't.
Well, originally, when her debut song was "Any Man of Mine,"
Mm-hmm. yeah, right.
Into this genre, I want you to listen to a song by a guy by the name of Billy Falcon called "Tinted Windows." All right, Tinted Windows, and it's so cool. They talk about how everything is great, and all these guys have these cool cars, and he's the only one that's got the girl, and he's got like this piece of shit hoopty. And he would trade it for the world because he's in love with this girl, and it's kind of a neat. So yeah, it's by Billy Falcon, and it's called "Tinted Windows."
Are you sure it's not Power Windows?
Huh? I'm sorry, Matt. You are absolutely correct.
Power Windows.
Power Windows.
You told me to look it up, and I'm literally grabbing my phone.
And I used to play that song all the time when I DJ'd, and that was one band that made me cry. We'll go back to that for a little bit. But I really had fun on the show today, and we got to stop.
It's a great show. We got to stop that right now. Ray does not have pants on right now, unfortunately.
I do have pants.
And he's starting to stick to the chair.
Where are the election results? All right.
The chair comes up with him when he stands up.
Really?
Yes, I'm right with you, Ray. I want election results too, one way or the other. Let's just get it freaking over with.
Yes.
If there's going to be litigation, let there be litigation. I just want to know who's going to be standing there with their hand on the Bible in January. Whether I'm going to like them or I'm going to hate them, I just want to know who it's going to freaking be.
Right.
You're getting my dog excited. Stop.
Wear a dress instead of the pantsuits. Just once. I'd like. Because it's tough when you watch a woman in her mask in a pantsuit. It I don't know. It looks like a sausage casing, but it's all right. I know.
All right. On that note,
sausage.
All right. And on that note, and just as a little side note, I used to fantasize about Sarah Palin all the time. I wasn't supporting her party, but my God, was I into her? Oh, was I into her?
Just like when you started that in that segue, it was like I thought I was like you used to fantasize about sausages. All right, I got you.
And Sarah Palin.
Bedroom from Glen Olden. It was nuts. All right,
guys, what a great time today! Stop. Shut up. What a great time today.
Ray's like, gotta wrap it up, and he keeps it going.
Yeah. For Matt Sonner, for Dr. Rock Ray Thomas, and for 102.9 WMGK, Chris Gordon. My name is Danny J. Until next time, we'll see you after dark.
Nice.
Looks like the sun's coming up. Was that as good for you as it was for me? Join us next time for DJs After Dark.